Good evening, everyone, and welcome to, once again, one of our wonderful Wednesday night beer tastings. Part 4, I think, of our brewery profile series, and we are in tonight with Jordan Sourisseau of Zero Issue Brewing in Calgary. Hello, Jordan.
Oh,
I mean, not really hello, we've been talking off camera for the last 10 minutes, but, you know, hello enough.
hello to everyone else.
Yeah, hello to everyone. It's going to be a really fun night. Now, in terms of tasting order for everybody at home, we're going to start with the Helheim Dark Saison, move on to the Observatory IPA, on to the Starhauler Sour, and finally finish up with Innismouth. So let's all get beers in our glasses here. So the Helheim Dark Saison. Jordan, why don't you introduce Zero Issue, tell us what you're about, and why should we be excited about Zero Issue in general as we get our whistles wet here a little bit.
Okay, well, Zero Issue Brewing, we've been a brewery here in Calgary for just over 3 years, 3.5, 4 in July. We're all about comic books. We're not about having zero issues because we have a lot of issues at the brewery. No one's without issues. So it's all about comic books and how things start off in the comic book lore. The Zero Issue, the brewery is kind of that. Each one of our beers then has an issue number on the back of the can. So each one is a new comic book in our series of stories. And we're just a bunch of geeks at the brewery who love to make good beer and have a lot of fun and embrace it.
It's looking at all the board games behind you in the background there, I wouldn't have guessed you were a geek at all.
No,
not in the slightest. Well, I noticed that it's pretty easy to tell what the seasonals are because they've got the stick-on labels on the blank silver cans and which ones are in the core range with the full-on wrappers here. So we got 3 seasonals and we got 1 core. Most recent looks like we're up to issue 37, so we've had 37 different zero-issue beers that have come to market, at least in cans.
Correct. We're actually on to issue number 39 right now. But from what you guys have as of right now, yeah, issue Observatory there, issue 37. So
happily, I'm looking at the back of the can, so I've got that really quick to hand. So
yes. And then we're going to be drinking the Helheim, the Dark Saison.
I love that you went for just the full pint right at the start. This is going to be a fun night. We've got about 15 minutes per beer, so down the hatch, Jordan.
I got 4 glasses,
all
so
right.
I'm not ready.
I've only got the 1. So first Dark Saison I think we've had so far. Let's talk a little bit about the Saison style in general. Like, it's an old Belgian and French farmhouse style, which was kind of whatever they had laying around at the tail end after basically the very last bits of the previous year's harvest in order to bring in the new year. So Saison's a bit of a catch-all. You can throw almost whatever you want in it. What goes into the Helheim?
There's a bunch of stuff. As you said, it's kind of a catch-all. Obviously, our recipe is not just what we had lying around. Our brewmaster Kirk, he's been doing this for quite a while, so he knows his stuff. And I mean, we got some wheat, some rye, some chocolate malts, Vienna, midnight wheat as well.
Ooh, that's a new one for me. Midnight wheat. I assume that's like a really dark roast wheat.
100%. Obviously, I'm not the brewmaster. It is definitely a darker and richer, more roasted notes, obviously. That's the first time I've heard it as well. But we got a little recipe here. Midnight wheat is the last kind of the grains that are on there.
Not a lot of hop notes on this, so... And again, because Saison, and let's be clear, modern Saisons are not made with, what's laying around the brewery most of the time. We've come a long way since, 18th century feudal France. But yeah, this is not a particularly hop-forward Saison. This style can be super hop-forward. It can be very, very laid back. There's definitely some hops to this, some bitterness to this. What should we be getting for hop notes on this, if anything, or is that designed to be in the background?
It's just like a traditional Saison. It is definitely designed to be more in the background. We got warrior hops and I think it's Tettnang hops in there. So what I find with this beer is as it's really cold, you get a lot more of the roasted notes from the, from the chocolate and the midnight wheat and stuff like that. But as it warms up and as it gets closer to room temperature, you get more of those, Saison yeast characteristics that that a lot of people like out of the Saisons, but a lot of people also don't like, and there's a reason why some people don't like Saisons, but I find that the midnight wheat and the chocolate and all those other ones, the rye even, really make this more palatable for someone who's not super fond of the Saison flavors.
Now, when you're really leaning into that Saison yeast that a lot of people are maybe not 100% sold on, are we talking DuPont yeast here, or are you guys using the French Thierry yeast, or can you say?
I am not privy to that one to say. So I have Saison yeast here. So obviously, Kirk has his secrets and loves his recipes. So he's loves creating quality beers. So.
Awesome. Well, I noticed you guys have been on a heck of a sour kick lately. We had the pumpkin sour, which I'll be very honest was like, it's not Halloween. I'm not taking a pumpkin sour. So we didn't actually pick that one up. But I mean, I absolutely loved Glaciation. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. I really enjoy Starhauler. And we said when we were first doing this that the Innismouth both our favorite of the core line. But not an original member of the core line. There was a white IPA when this brewery launched and not the Innismouth. What's the story on the white IPA?
Well, kind of when we first started off, we had the two IPAs. We had a Nemesis, which it's just labeled IPA, but it's more of a kind of a New England style hazy, juicy IPA. Those are the key words, right? But then we had the white IPA, and they kind of went head to head. And quite frankly, right at the start, 9 times out of 10, Nemesis was the winner. And even though there are fans that still ask me every day, when is Dystopia coming back? Nemesis is our flagship beer. And so we just ran with that, and it's been doing really well for us, and people love it.
I think that kind of New England styles, the hazy IPAs, kind of killed the white IPA category. Because I can remember, 2014, 2015, just powering through Chainbreaker. Like Chainbreaker was damn near our top-selling beer, like week in, week out in the summer. And then when hazy IPA started creeping in, like when Blind Man launched theirs and kind of started the New England IPA craze, white IPAs kind of fell off a little bit, and even things like Great White Combine aren't really. I think it's still around, but not in the sort of numbers it used to be. It's kind of funny how the market changes that way.
Yeah, I definitely notice less white IPAs out there, and when you do see one, you're like, ooh, I haven't tried that before, and so everyone and their dog is making a hazy, juicy IPA, but now they're also labeling pales as hazies and juicies, and even some blondes as hazies and juicies, and you're like, well, are we just using keywords, or are they actually juicy and hazy and drinkable like that? So,
I mean, hey, Molson 67 had an IPA. It didn't taste like an IPA, and it was a pale lager with like the tiniest scooch of hops in it. But hey, anyone can call something IPA. Look at Keith's. I mean,
at Keith's.
There are lots of bad IPAs on the market. Running a retail shop, well, not so much now with COVID, but we used to get shown 6 bad IPAs a day pretty much. It was shocking.
Well, I'm glad I'm not in that category.
No, you're not, because you have a shelf spot and a good shelf spot. There are definitely breweries that, and this is one thing I've talked about a little bit before. I'm kind of glad we don't have a walk-in fridge. I mean, this store was built in 91, beer fridge was built in 94, and this is our second location. But yeah, like we still have like a walk-up glass door fridge, and I'm really glad for that because it forces us to be pickier. I just don't get to bring in things that I don't like. I kind of like that.
It's funny here in Calgary. You notice the stores that were built for the craft beer era and the stores that were built before that and are having to retrofit because they're almost all front glass coolers and they don't have the walk-in fridges and stuff like that. So with some exceptions, of course, like a couple really, really good stores here in Calgary, but you can tell that some of the older wine stores are now having to kind of piece together the cooler space and try to fit in as many craft breweries as they can because there's so many here in Calgary.
There's almost too many. But in fact, I'm not even going to say almost. There's too many. There's some really bad breweries. Not going to name any names, Big Rock, but there's some really bad breweries. Yeah. So sorry.
That wasn't me.
And that's how Jordan died. It was very sad. But no, let's move on. So this is like Dark Saison. You've got a little bit of a, we've talked about IPA long enough. We may as well have the IPA in our glass. Dark Saison, you've got a little bit of a limited market. IPA's got to be the toughest category going. I mean, everyone and their mum has an IPA, good or bad. And you not only have the Nemesis IPA as your core, you're coming out with seasonal IPAs. How does the brewery kind of come about, well, this is what we're going to do that's different from the rest of the category? And more than that, how do you differentiate it from Nemesis? Like, what makes the Observatory different from Nemesis? And where does it fit in kind of the broader IPA lexicon?
You're asking all the tough ones.
I said it was going to be a softball event just purely to get you on camera. That was a lie.
I see what you're doing. I'm like, can I have more beer? So, one thing I did forget to mention before I answer those tough questions, I'm just distracting.
Yep.
Helheim was one of our 9 Realms series of beers. So we're doing the 9 realms of Norse mythology. So Helheim, Jotunheim, Niflheim, Asgard, all of them. And so we're going to do a new beer each month with a new realm and a new artist. And so for the next 9 months, we're going to have a bunch of fun, great, very obscure references to Norse mythology. So that's Helheim.
How's Midgard going to go, considering Heathens already makes a beer called Midgard? Is that going to be a collab?
We'll figure that one out later.
Sorry, that's normally meaner than I go, because that was even over the line for me. Never mind. Sorry, that was over the line.
Well, we reached out to Heathens Brewing here in Calgary, and because they have very Norse themes and stuff like that, and we asked them, said we have this idea, and we're going to go ahead doing this.
Got a little bit of a bug there on the audio. We'll get Jordan back here in a second. We lost you there for a second, Jordan. Sorry about that. Yeah, we lost the Heathens explanation. Sorry about that.
That's fine. We communicated with the people we needed to talk to, and we're just gonna make good beer and great artwork and just go from there, I guess.
Let's talk about it. Is it all the same artists for all your cans? Because there's definitely a stylistic similarity.
There's definitely, we wanted to obviously have a Zero Issue style because we're the same comic book, and obviously there's going to be different issues with different artists that we're going to go with. But typically there's the style of Zero Issue. So far we have used 9 different artists for the 2 different Pink Boot Days or collabs. We used couple different really talented and really amazing female artists. For Reverie, we used an artist out of the States actually, because it was our BLM beer as well. So then we have our brewer's assistant. He actually is one of our artists for a lot of our one-offs. So it's nice to have that in-house. But we have used 9 different artists and love just creating things and are always open to new things.
That's amazing. I really like it. What's the reference for the Observatory? We've already had a question on that.
Outer space. Let's go with that. I'm not 100% sure with this one on the story of whether it does pertain to comic books per se. It obviously does because of our lore, but multiverse, obviously that's a simple one. It is our issue number 1. It is the first beer that we brewed and released in recipe at the brewery, so it's issue number 1. So it kind of starts off with the guy on the can who we have named Wyatt Winters, and he goes into the multiverse, and in turn he's going through all these different realms and different universes to get to where he's going. We're still working on all the details as to the Wyatt story, but multiverse is issue number 1. So our Spider-Man number 1, our Superman number 1.
And of course, he has to have the first and last name that start with the same letter.
Exactly.
Naturally. Yeah, it would just be untraditional otherwise.
So, Observatory, it's more of a West Coast style IPA, but it does have, the exact hops in it. I wasn't even privy to that. I just have the experimental hops. So you get a lot of the, some citrus notes on it. It's a unique one. And so I'm not huge on West Coast IPAs myself. I find they turn my face inside out and I can't taste anything afterwards. But this one, with the experimental hops and a little bit of citrus notes and stuff that you have there, it dulls, or lightens is a better word, the West Coast bitterness that people associate with West Coast IPAs or IPAs.
I kind of call this like a no-coast IPA because it definitely has some of those tropical fruit hazy notes that I associate with the East, and very much that bigger kind of pine drop, grapefruit, throwback bitterness, bigger malt profile in the mouth. This is a style I'm really coming to love. I think the IPA I've drank the most of over the last 12 months since they fixed the recipe 88 is the Wave Pool IPA because it is that kind of prototypical no coast, some west, some east, a little bit of both. I really like that style. I still like and miss that little richer malt backbone, and I like that little bit more bitterness. And saying you don't like West Coast IPAs on this channel is fighting words. So,
whoa! Everyone's allowed a personal preference, right? And
yes, you are, as long as it's not against West Coast IPAs.
Okay, sorry, I love them. They're just amazing. Every meal, West Coast. No, and I mean, we've done, like our pale ale multiverse. The first one it definitely is more attuned to West Coast. And then we've done a couple other IPAs and pale ales that are along that realm too. But, Nemesis is our flagship. So nothing wrong with West Coast, don't get me wrong.
No,
it's just,
not.
But my tastes as any craft beer drinker, taste change and evolve and stuff, and I can definitely drink more of them now and enjoy them more, knowing more, or I guess my palate is changing a bit. But I mean, when I was 18, I was drinking frickin' Kokanee, right? Kokanee Gold. I was like, ooh.
Yes, how fancy! I've paid the extra 75 cents for Kokanee Gold. It's exactly the same thing with caramel coloring. So let's talk a little bit about you. I mean, you're the one and only sales rep for Zero Issue. What brought you to the beer industry? What's your beer background?
Oh, beer background basically comes from really enjoying it and enjoying the culture of it. I didn't go to school for it. I got lucky with Zero Issue Brewing, and I am a very, very fortunate sales rep that I got to have my shot at doing this with Zero Issue. I had met Mark, one of the owners, and his lovely wife at the first Calgary Beer Fest that they were at, because they were across from some friends of mine at Doan's Craft Brewing out of Vancouver. So Mark and Trish were there, and they had not got their license to actually sell beer yet. So their booth was full of merch, and I was blown away by the color.
Oh, we lost Jordan for a second there. I will say, as much as Kokanee Gold was the beer to drink in college, I was all about those Labatt Genuine Draft 32-sided cans. I think we got you back. Sorry, we lost you there for a few seconds.
Okay. No worries.
We got you up to we got you up to a booth full of merch, but no beer yet.
Okay, so no beer yet, and then I kept seeing them at every event that I went to for that year, and then I broke my leg, so I was out of a job because I had a broken leg, and then they needed someone to pour beer at a Bottle Screw Bills event here in Calgary. So
I do love me some Bottle Screw Bills.
Exactly. So Mark, one of the owners, he hauled the beer in for me because they needed someone else to pour the beer. It didn't work for the brewery for that event. And so I he called me up. I volunteered and hobbled in with crutches and whatnot, and poured the beer, and then gave me a business card and said, "Go away and sell our beer."
That's a heck of a resume right there. Yeah. 99% of sales is being completely shameless. So.
So really, I think I want to say that they saw that I had a passion for the company, that I'm a geek, and a passion for the beer. And so I fit into kind of what we represent as a brewery. And so I've been running with them as a sales rep for about 2.5, 3 years now, and probably drinking just as much as I sell, but
Eric Dick here, completely torpedoing his opportunity to ever be a Zero Issue artist with the question, does bottle screw bills, does Zero Issue pair well with prairie oysters?
With prairie oysters, I don't know, actually. I've never had my mouth around some Bull's oysters. So.
I've actually never had them, so I genuinely don't know if they're good, bad, or indifferent.
I think I've had the opportunity, but I didn't. I haven't had them. I know there's a couple. I think there's one bar in Cochrane that sells them, and I know that there's a couple events here in Calgary that do feature prairie oysters pre-COVID as a event, right? But I haven't tried them myself.
I broadly like organ meat. I just don't think I've ever been to a place where I would trust the food enough to order that.
Call it organ meat.
Don't call it organ meat.
Is there a live shucking?
Yeah. Oh God, please no. How did we get here from there? All right, I apologize. How did we get here again? All right, fine. Let's take this in a completely different direction and save this whole damn thing from going off the rails again. We know that we kind of share the same favorite in the core beer, but 38 issues in, what's your favorite Zero Issue beer they've ever made? And will we ever see it back?
Ever made? I hope to see it back. I have the artwork because we have a few prints for sale in our tap room. I have the artwork up in my room, and it's actually here. Relic.
Yeah,
it's a tangerine Gosa.
Yep, that was great.
It is honestly one of my favorite beers that we've ever done. The artwork is by Ian Nicholas, who is our brewer's assistant, and I'm a big fan of the Gosas with the the nice like salty finish and the accommodating fruit, complementing rather fruit flavors. And as you can see, I got a couple other sours up here that I really enjoy, and we have another Gosa coming out in March, so keep your eyes for that, but I can't say exactly which one yet.
That's totally fair. No, we don't spoil anything as much as we possibly can. I've only done that to Cabin once. I said something on camera I really wasn't supposed to. Yeah, we did. Actually, you're right. We did do Relic on the channel. That's right. We did do Relic in the summer, and it was absolutely fantastic. I'm not going to go back and look, but I think it was my favorite thing that week.
Well, of course it was. Just like West Coast IPAs for me.
Yes, exactly. Although I was actually telling the truth. So let's take that as our segue into sours. Fairly or unfairly, I do kind of think of Zero Issue as being like a sour specialist brewery. I mean, I've enjoyed Helheim, I've enjoyed Observatory, but when I hear Zero Issue's got a new seasonal, it's very much the, oh God, I hope it's a sour, because it's what they do best. Launch us into the Starhauler here, the Key Lime Pie Sour. Now, you guys have also done a Key Lime Sour, as I recall. How is this different from that?
Well, not obviously. You're asking. We ended up putting a whole crap load of graham crackers in this as well to really help with the pie flavors of it. We've done a key lime sour. We did a key lime pineapple sour in the last 2 years.
Which one was Risa? Because that's the one I was thinking of.
Risa from, that's a Star Trek reference there, if any of you geeks know that. It is, that was the key lime pineapple sour.
I think that was the summer of pineapple seasonals as well, where everyone came out with a pineapple seasonal almost the same week. It was actually very funny.
And then our first key lime adventure, or issue rather, would have been Echo, and that was for Pink Boots Brew, which was 2 years ago now, because the third one would have been this summer and is happening. But anyways,
there's a few people doing a Pink Boots Brew right now. So
yeah, but so 2 years ago we did Echo, which was a key lime sour. And then last year we had the key lime pineapple, which was Ryza. And then right now, obviously we're enjoying it, the Starhauler key lime pie sour. So also graham cracker, and hopefully no one enjoying this lovely tasting is lactose intolerant, because there is lactose in it. And it says on the can as well, just so you know.
I did see that, yes. I love how much lime comes through on this. Again, I had the rice. It was, the better part of a year ago. I actually think the lime comes through on this more than it did on the Risa. And thank you for correcting me on pronunciation.
It's all good. It wasn't intentional. I agree. This beer, like, I love sours, and like you said, the Tangerine Gosa, that's my go-to when we had it. But this one, I can do one, and then I'm just like, it's too much. The lime is a lot of sour for me. Like Innismouth, which we'll do next, the mango and the passion fruit really, they balance out that sour for my palate. Now, this one, some people just can't get enough of it, but it's almost, for my palate, it's too tart.
I don't know. I think that kettle sours have become a little less tart over time. I look back to some of the very first ones that kind of hit the market, like Phillips Oro Blanco, that now, to me, they're just like, not battery acid or anything, but they're just aggressively sour. Whereas something like this, the sourness is certainly there, and yes, you're getting the bright, fresh lime character, you're getting the classic kettle sour notes, but like, it's all in check for me. Like, this is just ideal.
It's a great beer. I really, really enjoy it, and the artwork is phenomenal as well. This artwork was done by Phil Piercy, another one of our awesome artists. As people might notice, we put the artist name on the back of the can, so each beer has the name of the artist, because credit due is, quite frankly, where credit is due. These people put, not slave away, but they put a lot of effort into this artwork, and they deserve credit. And so feel free to visit their Instagram accounts and let them know you enjoy their stuff. And also, obviously, ours.
Yeah, absolutely. No, Eric, who came up with the weird tangent for the prairie oysters, actually did all the signage for our wine sections. We just got them up a couple weeks ago. No, we're not getting back there. We're only 3 beers deep. We'll get back to that on beer 4.
Okay.
I'm just really in love with the Starhauler. I love these. I don't know. I really hate putting anyone in, like, and this is a point I wanted to make more with the Innismouth, but Zero Issue kind of beat the whole market to kettle sours. I mean, I know Blind Man was doing them, but this was even before Florida Weiss came out. But really, for me, like, the very first kettle sour that, like, I was getting calls out of the blue for was Innismouth. It was absolutely the beer that everybody wanted. And it's kind of funny seeing all the board games behind you. It was actually Roundtable Board Gamery, just a couple blocks from us, was actually the people who really insisted that we carry Zero Issue. We have to have these on the shelves. Bring them in for us. We'll buy them all. That was my introduction to Zero Issue, and the big one for us that really took off was the Innismouth, because, like you said, everyone and their mom makes an IPA, but you folks had like a really spectacular fruited kettle sour like a year, 18 months before anyone else really got on board to the same degree. And maybe that's why I always think of Zero Issue as a sours brewery. I know you do other things, and I love the Observatory, but I don't know. I really love just the souring program. This is a style you folks just absolutely nail.
Well, thank you. I think Kirk will be very, our brewmaster will be very happy to hear that. We've always loved sours, and right from the start, we wanted to be a brewery that was well known for our sours. fortunately, when craft brewing started really taking off in Calgary, sours weren't, the beer that everyone wanted in the summers. It still was IPAs or crushable other beers. So we had to do at first the beers that did keep the doors open, so we could eventually do the other things we really wanted to do, like Starhauler, like Innismouth as a core beer, because it's really what we've wanted to do for a long time. Is just from the start, it was have good sours.
It shows. Yeah, you can tell the love here. You really can.
Well, thank you. It's definitely brewed out of the love for that style of beer. Yeah.
Eric asks, so what's Kirk's background?
Kirk, he started off in the first year of the Olds program, the brewmaster program there. After year one, he actually got snagged up and went to Village. And so he worked for them, worked his way up, and he became the brewmaster at Village, and he worked with like Andrew from Annex and a couple other great people in our industry.
I was going to say Village has kind of turned out half the really brilliant brewmasters in Calgary. It seems like everybody works at Village first.
That's saying something for having the space to learn and grow your craft, and Village motto, it takes a village, right? So it takes a village to make a good craft beer community, and now that Village has kind of gone, well, okay, we can do that too, and starting our own thing, and growing the scene that is Calgary. And so now you got places like Annex, and you got places like us. And so Kirk and his brother had a passion for craft beer, and one Christmas they bought each other brewing kits, and then they started working on different recipes and started going from there, and then got other family members involved and made Zero Issue a family-based brewery, and got things, found a space up in the Northeast, basically McKnight and Deerfoot for anyone who comes to Calgary and wants to stop into the tap room. And then it has gone from there. So now, we're still basically one big family, but obviously you got to hire more employees and more sales staff as things go, and and have the thing grow. So now Kirk is still the head brewmaster. He still has the final say, and his brother Mark. But so that's where, a long way around, he started at Olds and then went to Village.
Beautiful. So now that we have a vaccine and there's a horizon of soon we'll be drinking at cool breweries again, tell us a little bit about the Zero Issue tap room. What should people be coming in for? Do you have tap room only exclusive beers? Do you have food? What's the vibe like at Zero Issue?
The vibe's awesome. We got, before COVID, we had comic books or board games out you could play. We had a popcorn machine. We had, we were having fun activities like event nights where we'd have D&D every Sunday, or Sunday once a month, and we'd have other events. And we have a great patio out front. Now that COVID's here and things are a little different, board games aren't there. You're welcome to bring your own stuff in. You're welcome to order in food, all that fun stuff, because we don't have a kitchen, but we have a great patio out front, comic books up on the wall. We have a fridge, so any of our one-offs that aren't still around at liquor stores, and we still have a couple flats kicking around, they'll be in the fridge. And we don't typically have only exclusive Zero Issue taproom beers. But with that being said, there are beers that no one else or no growler bars have on tap, that if you want a growler, you can come, or a pint, you can come to Zero Issue Brewing and enjoy our space and have a pint.
Hey, as a retailer, I'm fully on board with the no taproom exclusive beers policy. That I am very good with. So you don't have to apologize for that in the bloody slightest.
No, I mean, it's not saying that couldn't happen in the future, but right now we don't have a super small test batch system. So any of our one-offs that you guys are enjoying right now, like Starhauler, like Observatory, like Helheim, they are full batches. Kirk has the confidence in his recipes and the confidence in our brewing staff that he orders the cans, he gets the labels printed, and he brews the beer for, a double batch or a single batch, and he goes, well, we're gonna have another good beer.
I love that policy. That's fantastic. Kevin, a resident bitters lover. I don't think that Zero Issue has a bitter in the core category. The only actual beer from them that's in their core lineup that I don't have on the shelf right now is actually the Pilsner. But have you ever done a bitter at Zero Issue?
Okay, I lost you for a bit there.
No, that's fair. The question was, have you ever done an English-style bitter or any bitter at all?
We have not.
Not yet? Okay.
I think you said we have our Pilsner, so it's a German-style Pilsner, cryostasis. It's one of our core beers. Great, as some people say, dad beer. But we have not done a bitter, not done an English style. We do have a beer that was the second realm of our 9 realms. It's a brown that we haven't done before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys can see that. Oh, turn it, camera's opposite. Svartalheim.
And is that the latest one? It's the one after Helheim?
Yes.
Yeah,
it is
that's the one that
number...
we'll be bringing in next week as soon as we have a bloody shelf spot. This is the downside of having the... I have one shelf, which is all of my domestic. Out of the entire thing, I have one shelf of 8 packs of domestic, and that's it. Everything else is craft, but I do still have one of those old school... we started in 85. I can't have that much space. Store's 3 years younger than me, and I'm almost 40.
So it is issue number 39, and it is Realm 2. So Svartalheim, the Dwarven Kingdom. So it's a brown ale, American-style ale. It will be hitting Lethbridge soon. Just got to chat with you guys a bit more and stuff. Yeah, so we haven't done an English bitter or stuff like that. You never know with... let's see. Can we get some light? Hey, there we go.
There we go.
So, we have lots of plans to do lots of good beers and some more gozas and sours and stuff all this summer. Obviously, we want to make sure that our core beers are all available continuously throughout the summer so that we don't... let any of you miss out on those, but we want to keep up on the one-off beers so that there's more amazing beers like Starhauler and Helheim.
And that's the other thing. I mean, you've got to balance it with a small brewery and a small brewing space. You can't be always running out of your core beers because then you lose shelf spots just to make seasonals, which are shelf spots that are designed to be one-offs. I kind of have I think Zero Issue right now is sharing space with, again, I'm not actually looking at my fridge, but I think you guys share a little bit of space of Annex. So if I have more Annex seasonals at the moment, they kind of move into the Zero Issue space. And if Zero Issue has more seasonals, they move a little bit into the Annex space. But like the Annex cores and the Zero Issue cores are their own spots. Yeah, there's a little of that. You have to focus on the cores enough that you don't lose those regular 365 spots.
Well, exactly. And that's what we don't want to do. We don't want to run out of our core beers, and we don't also want to sacrifice for quality, because what I say about our beers, we don't rush them. So if we run out, well, sorry, we run out, but we don't want to rush for quality's sake. We don't want your first taste. So we want to put out good, consistent, quality product that you're going to enjoy every time.
Got a couple of questions from Julie, and I know one of them you said you couldn't say, but she does love a Goza. Do you have anything on deck next in a Goza? And her second question is, do you do any wild ales, like true spontaneous ferment stuff? Or is that in the cards eventually?
In the cards of, true wild open tank fermenters like they do back in Germany with
cool
open
ships and
fields.
everything, yep.
Yeah, we are up in industrial northeast Calgary. We don't really want fuel from planes to cause open fermentation. Oh, am I here?
Yeah, you're still there. Everyone's just doing a
video.
thing.
Okay, there it is. So open fermentation tanks, I don't think so. but like others, like barrel aged sours and stuff like that are definitely something that we are thinking about and looking forward to the rest of this year, and also of course next year, because barrel aged stuff takes a little bit longer. So
yes, you can do wild ales in Alberta, Eric. I kind of agree with Jordan that perhaps doing that in Northeast Calgary is perhaps inadvisable. We're going to break here for just a second to talk about what we got coming up next. We have some really cool stuff coming up next. We are going to be doing a wine tasting this Friday night, and it is going to be the tasting I didn't think was possible. We're going to be doing Bordeaux. Devin and I put a lot of time and thought into this. We knew we had the white wine. It was always going to be the Chateau Franc. We knew we were going to do the Chateau Remy Sauterne because it's a Sauterne at the right price. But the trick was the reds. Getting a left bank Bordeaux that tastes like left bank Bordeaux in the Chateau Haussant du Casse, and getting a right bank Bordeaux that's very Merlot heavy in the Delphi de la Dauphine. There are lots of $20 to $25 to even $30 Bordeaux reds out there. Ones that actually taste like their left bank versus right bank, well, we're giving it a try. I really wanted to do this. The big impetus was actually the Delphi one on sale, so we actually could just make it work. Tickets are $85. Bordeaux, as some folks will be aware at least, it's the cradle of the modern wine industry. Everything from the exportation of wine to putting wines in glass bottles to the idea of imprinting corks with like the name of your winery to prevent wine fraud to even vintage dating wine. That's all Bordeaux. Like in terms of historical importance, there's Bordeaux and then everything else, not counting the Fertile Crescent where they started first making wine. That does rather rank above it, but there's really no way we can taste 2,000-year-old wines, at least not ones that would be pleasant to drink. On the other side, Wednesday, 1 week from tonight, we are going to close out our brewery profile series here with Situation Brewing out of Edmonton. This is what I've been trying to get to for a little while. We've done the Page Turner IPA, I think, once before, very early on. I know we've definitely done their tea Saison when we did like a tea week. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that one, but we've definitely done the tea Saison before. We're going to do their Salty Senorita, Tequila Lime Goza. These Mexican-style sours are something I've really come to like. We're going to do their Irish Red, first Irish Red we've done, and then finally their Sex Palace Imperial Stout. So, yes, we're doing an IPA and a sour, but we're also going to do a really cool Irish Red and an Imperial Stout, and we're going to be joined by Curtis Weber of Situation Brewing, so that's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, thank you for bearing with us, Jordan. Let's get right back to Zero Issue, and let's taste us some Innismouth.
I know you couldn't see me. I was enjoying my Star Wars comic book while you were talking there.
That's totally fair. I was looking at the camera.
My interest. You said Sex Palace?
Sex Palace Imperial Stout, yeah. I don't know, it's a cool purple color. And Aaron has already promised us the promo is going to be very focused on the word Sex Palace. So as for always, hashtag watch the promos. I mean, Situation Brewing's based in Edmonton. I assumed it was gonna be like a Sky Palace pun, but no. Apparently, it's Catherine the Great of Russia really got around and had like a specially built place for taking her like lovers. Oh, that'll be an interesting tasting to get into that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I like Situation Brewing.
Yeah, they're doing some fun stuff, and their place is pretty cool up there. And that's brought me back to the conversation at hand. So,
well, it's funny, we don't see a lot of the Edmonton stuff down here so much because we're so distant from it. Because it's 6 hours by car, and yeah. I mean SYC's doing cool stuff in Situations, doing cool stuff in Town Square's doing cool stuff, but we don't really see very much of it. We're almost insulated from at least most of the hype. Every so often there's something like really huge and we'll hear about it a bit. But I mean, a brewery in Calgary does something and I'm getting phone calls within 30 seconds of it going on Instagram. Edmonton, it takes a bit.
Yeah, and fair enough. And there's less breweries up there, so when one of them does start to do something, you guys, might take a bit, but you do hear about it. Calgary, I mean, there's so many of us now, so. But I mean, you guys got some good stuff going on down there. Not a ton, but even down in the the Crow's Nest Pass and Pass Brewing and Old Man River and stuff like that. I mean, Fernie's just across the border there, and Yeah, down south you got a few, and I mean Medicine Hat too. You got some good stuff happening down there. So we're seeing some of that up here.
We got Stronghold out in Fort Macleod. We got Spectrum and
True.
theoretically here in town. We got lots of stuff happening down south here. So,
Yeah,
and more opening all the time.
almost as many as Edmonton, right?
At this point, I mean, all of southern Alberta is about what Edmonton's got going. Although, again, I don't really know. I think we might have done these in the wrong order because I love me some Innismouth sour, but I think the Starhauler is just bigger.
Yeah, I think same way around. Starhauler does definitely have a stronger the lime punch to it, as it almost overtakes what the mango and the passion fruit bring to the Innsmouth.
All right, but let's talk about Innismouth. I mean, this is issue number 10. It didn't start out in the core range. It's part of the core range now. That sounds like a little bit of a story. I assume this started out as a seasonal and it just went nuts and had to become a core beer, or?
No, when Kirk finally decided it was time to do a sour, we came up, with the artwork with the artist there, Scott Ford, and with Lovecraft references, the town of Innsmouth that is invaded by sea monsters, and hence the tentacles on the can, the Cthulhu style, and the statues of the sea monsters on the can. It was right away, this is going to be a core beer. There wasn't any, humming and hawing about it. It was, we've wanted a sour from the start, so now we're doing it, and we're going to do it right. And so we've been pushing with it constantly, and so far, since everything opened up again, especially in Calgary, it has really exploded, and restaurants and liquor stores are really knocking down my email, basically.
That's an interesting question. Is, for the Innsmouth, has it been like a bar and restaurant market first and foremost, and then kind of retail coming on stream later? Or was this something that was a big seller right for retail right from the very beginning? And yes, I'm covering for Jordan because his video's glitched.
Yeah, there he is.
I think we got you back.
My video?
Well, yeah, let's blame it all on you. We already blamed the last one on Aaron.
I get everything.
You get everything.
I get everything.
Oh, unacceptable. Sorry, it was a glitch in the matrix there.
Yep, that's fine with us. We have those. Much less talking to you in Calgary than when we had an Argentinian guest. The video quality between here and Argentina was both surprisingly good and also not very good, which was unique. Actually, I think the big thing was the half-second time delay.
Interesting. So I find this beer, what I tell people at beer fests is Innsmouth is a 2-sip taster, because that first sip, the acidity and the tartness of it hit your taste buds, and you're just like, what is going on? And then that second sip, your taste buds are there for the party. They're like, oh, so this is what we're doing. You get the mango, you get the passion fruit, and it really balances out that tartness, and it makes a great kettle sour beer, and a great, like, for at golf courses, great on a patio. It's definitely my go-to beer in the summer besides Cryostasis Pilsner.
No, I think this was the first, I mean, like I said, we brought in Zero Issue basically purely for Roundtable. This was the beer that kind of sold me on the brewery. I've always liked Innsmouth. This is just one of those beers that it's a go-to default for me, especially when someone comes in, they're like, well, I'm looking for a sour. Okay, what do you like? I like mango. Innsmouth. Done. Just easy. It's such an automatic referral for me.
Well, that's good. It's it's such a good thirst quenching sour, and we're having a ton of fun with it. Being one of our flagship beers. Literally, Nemesis was what we were known for the first while, and now what I've noticed is it's either or. People, they notice the Nemesis, but Innsmouth in retail stores and stuff like that, like your lovely location, are just killing it. People are. Last summer was the summer of sours, but this summer I think is just going to blow it out of the water.
I think so too. I think sour is now firmly entrenched, and we're just going to see ridiculous growth. I'm sure we're going to have our own, like, comes out of nowhere style, like dark Saison is all of a sudden going to just take over the public consciousness or something. Probably won't be dark Saison, but it'll be something ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, I think this is the year where we're really going to see sour become just the most entrenched beer style and become a major category that it's not. We're past the fad, we're past the hype. Now it's just here to stay, and I'm really looking forward to that.
So there was someone on the Facebook feed that had asked about sours. I don't think I ever answered her. So right now, available for Andrew Hilton to bring in, which will be this week, is a berry sour called Gollum, and it's 3 berries. The can is amazing. I don't think I have one behind me. I can grab one quickly. It's 3 berries. It's a sour beer. It's super dark purple. It's a great sour beer. And then actually in March, we have 2 different a sour and a Gosa coming out. So that's a little sneak peek for you guys here chatting with me.
We'll definitely be bringing in the Gollum sour. That's not even a question for me. And we'll also be bringing in, we had a question, are we going to be bringing in the 9 Realms beers? Assuming all 9 are made available to us, we will be bringing in all 9 Realms.
They will be all made available to you. Unfortunately, with the brewing space and everything, they're 1 a month, so we can't have, if it runs out, if the first realm runs out in mid-March, you won't be able to get it when Realm 5 comes out, right? So,
well, if Realm 3 is an IPA, I don't want it still around when Realm 9 comes out. That's going to be bad.
Exactly. It is only 1 beer a month, but so Realm 3 here will be, it's at the end of the month typically. So, you can also, if you check out our Instagram, each month we are giving away a specific item that is the realm based. The first 2 months, glass horns. So Viking drinking horns that are glass etched with Zero Issue Brewing and stuff. So we're having a contest at the start of every month as well.
How do people get in on that?
It's one of those Instagram contests where you have to like our page, share and follow all the things that Instagram contest goers know about. It is on our page. I will state that recently we had a company or someone try to throw up a fake account, which was Zero Issue Brewing _. So do not follow that one. They're scammers. We will not send you anything that says you need to put your information in to potentially win this.
Good to know.
All you need to do is, follow the instructions about liking and sharing. We don't ever ask for any personal information. So that's a caveat there. But
beautiful.
Follow our Instagram, and we're having a ton of fun with the 9 Realms because, I think as far as my mind remembers, I am probably about 3.5 beers deep here. Asgard will be released around Pride, obviously with the Rainbow Bridge and stuff like that. We're gonna, have a ton of fun with that. We got just some great beers coming out. 2
awesome.
Sours in March. So.
Thanks very much, Jordan. I'm gonna close things out here, and then you and I will debrief in just a minute.
Sweet.
Cool.
All right. So for those of you who participate in the wine tasting, I will see you on Friday night. For the rest of you, I will see you in a week when we do Situation Brewing. For Andrew Hilton, thank you very much to Jordan, and thank you to all of you for watching. Have a wonderful night.